Tehran is under heavy pressure, and the United States is preparing for a military move against the Iranian regime, while Prime Minister Netanyahu declares that if Iran attacks, Israel will respond with a force it has never known. American aircraft carriers, transport planes, and strike squadrons of strategic bombers, as well as tactical fighter squadrons, are making their way to the United States bases in this region. But Israeli intelligence has come to an unusual situation assessment that Iran is looking for an alternative arena instead of direct war. But just in case fighting develops with Iran, the IDF continues to strike Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon. On the diplomatic front, American action against Iran could highlight the limits of Russia and China's support. Meanwhile, Iran's leaders continue to treat President Trump like a loser. Apparently, they don't know that there's nothing he hates more than to lose. Here in Israel, in recent days, you could cut the tension with a knife. So welcome to Boots on the Ground. I'm your host, Yair Pinto, bringing you the whole truth, and this time, we're on our way to the northern border between Israel and Lebanon. Senior commanders in Iran's Revolutionary Guards are under severe pressure as President Pezeshkian warned against harm to the Supreme Leader Khamenei, and that indicates a real concern inside the Iranian system. They are right to be concerned, as the Trump administration is examining substantial steps to undermine the stability of the Iranian regime. This is in close coordination with Israel. And meanwhile, IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir said this week that the military is on high alert to unleash unprecedented firepower against any attempt to harm the security of the state of Israel and its citizens. But it's not only Israeli citizens that the Ayatollah regime is targeting. Following the bloody crackdown on the protests in Iran, which resulted in between 5,000 and 16,000 fatalities, with many more wounded and arrested, the regime issued an ultimatum to the protesters saying, turn yourselves in within 3 days. You are not enemy soldiers. But another senior regime figure warned that crimes against God can lead to the ultimate punishment. And meanwhile, the internet shutdown has now continued for almost 12 days. But Iran's vice president claimed that connection to the global network will return this week. In a related story, Iranian media reported a massive explosion heard from the area of an Iranian Air Force base in northwestern Iran this week, but there is no further information on what it was. And amidst all of this, Iranian tycoons and senior Revolutionary Guards figures are fleeing the country, many going to the Turkish city of Van near the border. And speaking of borders, the IDF is warning that a weakening of the fighting in Gaza, in Lebanon, and Syria could shift Iran and its proxies' efforts to Judea and Samaria and to the eastern border. The military is also preparing for the possibility of terror attempts from Jordan and broad escalation scenarios. And meanwhile, in the Gaza Strip, Hamas has violated the agreement once more. They continue to monitor aid shipments, collect taxes, and try to hide their strength, while also continuing to control Gaza by force of arms. In Israel, concern is growing over bringing Turkey and Qatar into the Gaza Strip. For now, the Americans are trying to advance to phase B of the ceasefire plan, which also includes disarming the Gaza Strip of weapons. However, on the ground, it looks like demilitarization of the Gaza Strip is far off and maybe even not possible. Therefore, the IDF is preparing to conquer the Gaza Strip and to destroy Hamas in case President Trump's plan will collapse. Well, it was also decided not to open the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt. Israeli officials assess that Hamas will not disarm and a stabilization force will enter only after a broad military move by the IDF. And meanwhile, IDF forces struck a series of strategic targets of the Hezbollah terrorist organization in southern Lebanon over the last 24 hours. This is in response to unusual military activity that was identified on the ground. The strike focused on central training camps, underground storage facilities, and launch sites ready for action. Sadly, it appears that the new